security advisor and his Chinese counterpart also met in St. Petersburg on 12 September. The problem in these two areas pertained primarily to obstructions of our long-standing patrolling activity. In Demchok, there was also the question of access by our nomadic population to traditional grazing grounds, as well as to sites of significance to local people. As a result of this recent understanding, arrived at after intensive negotiations, resumption of patrolling through the traditional areas is underway. It was initially tested by sending out patrols for verification of disengagement on the ground and is now being followed up by regular activities as per the agreed understanding. Following the October 21 understanding, Prime Minister and President Xi Jinping had a meeting on the sidelines of the BRICS summit in Kazan on October 23. They welcomed the understanding and directed the foreign ministers to meet and stabilize and rebuild bilateral relations. The special representatives were also to oversee the management of peace and tranquility in the border areas, besides exploring a fair, reasonable, and mutually acceptable solution to the boundary question. In pursuance of that, I held discussions with Foreign Minister Wang Yi again on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Rio de Janeiro on November 18, 2024. Sir, Raksha Mantri ji also met Chinese Defense Minister Dong Jun at the ASEAN Defense Ministers meeting ADMM Plus in Vientiane on November 20. The two ministers discussed progress on the recent agreement on disengagement, the need to address de-escalation along the LAC, and the requirement to strengthen CBMs. They agreed on the importance of continued meetings and consultations at various levels. The House will remember that the October 21, 2004 agreement is the latest in a series of understandings regarding the resolution of the situation at various friction points in eastern Ladakh. In the aftermath of the events of May-June 2020, and the initial disengagement in Galwan Valley in July 2020, there was a foreign ministers meeting in Moscow in September 2020. At that time, our government's position was underlined that the immediate task was to ensure the comprehensive disengagement of troops in all the friction areas. It was also emphasized that the large concentration of troops along the LAC was not in accordance with the 1993 and 1996 agreements, and that the Indian side would not countenance any attempts to change the status quo unilaterally. We also expected that all agreements and protocols pertaining to the management of border areas would be scrupulously followed. Sir, the disengagement has now been achieved in full in eastern Ladakh through a step-by-step process, culminating in Depsang and Demchok. With the task of disengagement completed, it is now our expectation that discussions would commence in regard to the remaining issues that we had placed on the agenda. For the benefit of honorable members, I wish to flag for your attention the previous positions articulated in Parliament previously by the government on this issue. On 15 September 2020, Raksha Mantri ji had made a detailed statement on Chinese attempts to transgress the LAC and the appropriate response given by our armed forces. On 11 February 2021, Raksha Mantri ji again briefed the House about the agreement on disengagement in the north and south banks of Pangong Lake. Thereafter, in August 2021, a third phase of disengagement took place in the area of Gogra, whereby troops would henceforth be in their respective bases. The next step took place in September 2022, which pertained to the Hot Springs area. Again, forward deployments ceased in a phased, coordinated and verified manner, resulting in the return of troops to their respective areas. The most recent October 21, 2024 agreement comes in the wake of earlier disengagements. It completes the first phase that was agreed to in Moscow in September 2020. As members are aware, there is a long history of frictions, transgressions, and face-offs in several sectors of the India-China border. This goes back to Barahuti from 1954, to Longju in 1959, to Sumdurongchu from 1986 to 95, and Depsang in 2013, amongst others. In the past, earlier governments have agreed to a range of steps to diffuse situations that have arisen at different times, including offers from our side to create demilitarized zones, limited non-patrolling zones, relocation or withdrawal of posts, disengagement of troops, and dismantlement of structures. Different locations have seen different solutions being examined. Where the October 21 understanding is concerned, our objective has been to ensure patrolling as in the past to the relevant patrolling points, as well as the resumption of grazing by our civilians as per long-standing practice. This is indeed what we have agreed upon in regard to Depsang and Depchok. In a few other places where friction occurred in 2020, steps of a temporary and limited nature were worked out based on local conditions to obviate the possibility of further friction. This, I must stress, applies to both sides and can be revisited as the situation demands. In that sense, our stance has been resolute and firm and serves our national security fully. The ensuring of our national security in this manner is the result of cumulative and coordinated endeavors of many parts of the government, obviously centered around defense and security forces. Indeed, the competence and professionalism of our services in this period was displayed in our speedy and effective counter-deployment. In the negotiations with China, the defense and diplomatic arms worked in lockstep to ensure that our national interests were comprehensively served. In that context, the House would also recognize that there has been a significant improvement in the border infrastructure, which has made such effective counter-deployment possible. This is reflected, amongst others, in the increase of border infrastructure allocations in the last decade. The Border Roads Organization alone has incurred 3 times the expenditure level of what it was a decade ago. Whether it is the length of the road network or of bridges or the number of tunnels, there has been a substantial increase over the earlier period. Notable milestones in this regard include the Atal Tunnel to Lahaul Spiti, the Sela and Nechifu Tunnel to Tawang, the Umlingla Pass Road in southern Ladakh, and the extended opening of the Zojila axis. Work is progressing on some strategically important roads and airfields in Ladakh. The adoption of new technologies in high altitude, remote, inaccessible, and permafrost areas has also been significant. All of this, sir, reflects the government's firm commitment to protecting our borders and ensuring that the armed forces get the facilities and the logistical support that they deserve. Finally, let me share, sir, with honorable members our expectation regarding the direction of ties with China in the near future. Our relationship has progressed in many domains, but was obviously negatively affected by recent events. We are clear that the maintenance of peace and tranquility in border areas is a prerequisite for the development of our ties. In the coming days, we will be discussing both de-escalation as well as effective management of our activities in the border areas. The conclusion of the disengagement phase now allows us to consider other aspects of our bilateral engagement in a calibrated manner, keeping our national security interest first and foremost. In my recent meeting with Foreign Minister Wang Yi, we reached an understanding that the special representatives and the Foreign Secretary level mechanisms will be convening soon. So, sir, let me conclude by thanking honorable members for their attention, and I am confident that the government has the full support in addressing the complexities of this important relationship.
Shri Piyush Goyal to move a motion for consideration of the Boilers Bill 2024.
Respected sir,
One second.
with your kind permission, I move that the Boilers Bill 2024 to provide for the regulation of boilers.
Honorable members, Please, would you listen to me now? There are some issues. I am saying there are some issues that have special attention. So there need not be anything like this. Rule 251 of Rules of Procedure and Conduct of Business in the Council of States, evolved by us. A statement may be made by a minister on a matter of public importance with the consent of the chairman, but no question shall be asked at the time of the statement is made. So I am fully aware that there are instances, but in this case, I find it expedient because I feel so. Honorable Minister Piyush Goyal. Mr. Piyush Goyal. Nothing is going on record. Nothing is going on record.
The Boilers Bill.
Nothing is going on record.
24 to provide for the regulation of boilers, safety of life and property of persons.
Nothing is going on record.
Of explosions of steam boilers and for uniformity in registration and inspection during manufacture, erection and use of boilers in the country and for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto be taken into consideration.
Motion moved. I now call upon the members whose names have been received for participation in the discussion. Siri, nothing goes on record. Nothing goes on record. Siri Neeraj Dangi.
Nasir bhai?
Siri Brajlal. Come on, go ahead.
सभापति महोदय, आज इस उच्च सदन में बॉयलर्स बिल 1924 लाया गया है। महोदय, ये जो पुराना बिल है, एक्ट था, वो बना था 101 बरस पहले 1923 और इसमें 2007 में संशोधन हुआ। लेकिन जो नई परिस्थितियां आई, जिस तरह मोदी
Honorable members, time and again I have invited your attention, I have invited your indulgence that we are being watched by the entire nation and our demeanor is causing a serious dilution of the institution. An institution meant for debate is not having it and therefore getting into irrelevance. The rule on a statement is explicit. The Honorable Minister in detail has taken the House in confidence. He could be as exhaustive as could be possible. Even on such an issue, the kind of indecorous behavior I saw, the kind of body language reflected, when I say it every time, it doesn't earn me any accolades. But I do it for what sake? I do it only to restore, honorable members, your dignity. I want you to kindly contribute and believe in some kind of rules. We have created this house on occasions when people are watching us as something which it should not be. I have no doubt the statement of the Honorable Minister must have been seen by the entire country. And they would be surely taking note of how comprehensive, how exhaustive, and how understandingly he has conveyed a state of point of view. I would request the members, please interact amongst yourselves outside the House. Evolve some kind of a consensus that there are issues of security, of national importance, where we need to exhibit exemplary conduct. Shri Brajlal, please continue.
थैंक यू सभापति महोदय। मुझे बॉयलर्स एक्ट 2024 पर मुझे बोलने का अवसर दिया गया है। पहले बॉयलर एक्ट 1923 में 101 बरस अंग्रेज़ों के ज़माने में ये बना था और उसके बाद में 2007 में अमेंडमेंट्स हुए। बॉयलर तमाम इंडस्ट्री में प्रयोग होता है और बॉयलर के कई किस्म के बॉयलर होते हैं। इलेक्ट्रिक बॉयलर, नेचुरल गैस बॉयलर, स्टीम, कंडेंसिंग, कॉम्बो, हॉट वाटर एंड ऑयल। तो ये जो तमाम बॉयलर्स हैं, समय समय पर जब ये कोरोजन होता है ऑक्सीजन के संपर्क में, पानी के संपर्क में, तो तमाम उसमें एक्सीडेंट्स भी होते हैं। क्योंकि पुराना जो अधिनियम था उसमें डिज़ाइन, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, मेंटेनेंस, इन तमाम चीज़ों की एडिक्वेट व्यवस्था नहीं थी। इसलिए हमारे प्रधानमंत्री यशस्वी नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने इसको तमाम जो ब्रिटिश कानून, पुराने कानून थे, उसको बदलने का के लिए उन्होंने संकल्प लिया और 2000 से अधिक कानून बदले जा चुके हैं जो गुलामी के प्रतीक थे। वो सभापति महोदय, सबसे बड़ा निर्णय लिया गया क्रिमिनल जस्टिस सिस्टम को बदलने का। पुराना आईपीसी, सीआरपीसी एविडेंस एक्ट जो अंग्रेजों ने आईपीसी 164 वर्ष पहले बनाया था। अभी कल ही माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जो हमारे गृह मंत्री अमित शाह जी थे चंडीगढ़ में, जहां क्रिमिनल जस्टिस सिस्टम में उसका लाइव वहां प्रेजेंटेशन हुआ, उसको देखा और चंडीगढ़ ऐसा केंद्र शासित राज्य बना जिसने इसके सभी प्रोविजन को 100% लागू किया है। तो उसमें महोदय ये जो बॉयलर्स बिल है इसको लाया गया है। बॉयलर्स का बहुत महत्व है, हर चीज़ में इस्तेमाल होता है, चाहे शुगर इंडस्ट्री हो, चाहे थर्मल पावर इंडस्ट्री हो, चाहे हमारा घर हो। हमारे घर में भी जो हमारा हीटर है, गीजर है, ये सब बॉयलर्स हैं। बॉयलर का सबसे बड़ा एक्सीडेंट जो बिल लाया गया उसके महत्व को समझने के लिए ज़रूरी है, ये हुआ था 27 अप्रैल 1865। एक जहाज